This is Jordan Tower with JT News, where this Meek and Game beef just keeps spiraling on, and Meek hasn't even responded to the pest controversy yet. It just keeps spiraling on because Beanie Sigel and everything's involved. So Beanie Sigel went on the Tax Season podcast, and if you listen to it, he addresses a couple situations that just happened, okay? Him getting knocked out and the whole Meek diss thing to Game, right? Now, he's breaking down that the Meek diss to Game, right? If that's not the issue here, let's address the Drake situation. He said, you're calling Drake out for principles that he doesn't live by. He doesn't come from the streets. He doesn't have street code, so you can't hold him to that. He thinks it's really behind. Meek Mill was in bed with NICKI MINAJ one night, asked her if she hit that, and he didn't get the right answer. So he decided to go into a beef with Drake and come up with something. And he used the excuse, you didn't promote my album and you didn't write your own bars, and took that to another level. And basically, we know Meek Mill lost that battle because the pure reason is he took too long to respond. Drake's diss, he had back-to-back diss tracks, and Meek didn't even respond for weeks later. Drake already had the upper hand at that point. The meme game was, it was out of control. So Beanie Sigel is saying that Drake beef was behind Nicki. She slept with Drake because basically the answer you got from her when you asked her was basically like in the middle, like, oh, don't talk about, when you get an answer from your girl and you're like, oh man, you did it, or it leaves some doubt in your mind. He had doubt in his mind. And from there, he couldn't be friends with Drake anymore. Now, then they get into the whole thing where Beanie Sigel got beat up recently by Tiffy Bay, which is one of Dream Chasers, a Dream Chasers guy affiliate. And he's saying, you got this young guy, young bull, as they call him in Philly, weighing over 300 pounds, gunning at me, and all I got was, some 5'2" guys with me. And he just said that wasn't real. And then Whack 100. Okay, so this all really is starting to get crazy because, okay, we were all thinking that Tiffy knocked Beanie Sigel out, right? Because Beanie Sigel called Game and was like, oh, I wrote O'Malley's verse. And basically he jumped on the diss song towards Game, and now you're calling Game and calling truce, right? Beanie Sigel called Game because he didn't know he got shouted out in 92 bars. He hadn't even heard it. He jumped on the diss song for Philly, right? But I don't, first of all, I'm not saying Beanie Siegel's right here, okay? But he called Game and kind of called a truce, like, this beef is between you and Meek, leave me out of it. But Tiffy Bay, when he did his interview, he's basically alluding that Beanie Sigel did more than that. He's like plotting with Game against Meek and giving them inside info on how Meek plans on coming back at Game, which obviously there is no plan because Meek Mill still hasn't responded, okay? And I want him to respond. I want Meek to hold his own. I'm a fan of Meek. I'm a fan of Game. I'm a fan of Drake. But, this is a competition, okay? Let's just call it what it is. It's a competition. If everybody's running a race on a track, okay, somebody's going to finish first, okay? And right now, Game is finishing first, and Drake finished first on the last beef. Does it mean you hate the person that came in second and you're a hater? No, facts are facts, guys. Okay, so Whack 100 comes out and says, you guys put hands on Beans. Beans ain't tell us nothing. Because, the thing that Beans talked about with the writing thing, he did that on an interview in Maryland, okay? Right after that, he said he went to the studio and offered some assistance. He didn't really say what he did. Maybe he added a bar or two, or maybe he just, say it like this. Because Beans is a veteran. Do your history. He had Philly on his back for 20 years, as Whack 100 said. He carried Philly for 20 years. And then Beanie Sigel also noted in this podcast that this, Meek Mill's on the high right now. And he tried to talk to Meek Mill before the whole punching incident where he got knocked out. And Meek Mill's had to talk later, and then he got punched out. And he said Meek Mill won't listen right now because he is on his high. But Bean will tell you, because he knows from the experience, the same people you see going up is the same people you see going down. Because Beanie Sigel, we all know, was the top early 2000s, and then he had a decline. You're always going to have a decline at one point, you know, unless you're like a super pop star. Like Drake is pop status now. So his decline isn't going to be as bad as like somebody that's just a rapper, you know. So, but anyways, we're going to have to see how this all develops. Then, you know, Whack 100 said you got to fix that situation because Beans ain't give us no more info than what was out there. They're thinking that they gave him some inside info on strategy and everything. Like he said, Beans ain't tell us nothing like that. You guys are crazy. You guys messed up the mascot of Philly, Beanie Sigel, man. You know, out of respect, you don't put hands on Beanie Sigel. I mean, first of all, he's older. He's not fully in health, right? Good health. It was a sucker move, man. But, you know, whatever. I mean, that's up to them. But let me know what you guys think, man.